Welcome to the Fight Night Daily podcast from talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and Gareth A. Davies alongside me. As always, we are at the weigh-in for Zhang and Joyce. The big boys, and that is an understatement, have just weighed in.
Yes.
In our build-up to this gentleman over the last couple of weeks, we've been saying, listen, maybe Joyce was a tiny little bit too light last time out. He's not a tiny little bit too light this time. 20 stone he's just come in at, mate.
Listen, Joyce's career best performance was the fight before his last one against Zhang, and that was Joseph Parker, where he weighed 19 stone 3. If it's not broke, don't fix it. For some reason, they decided to come in lighter against Zhang, who weighed 19 stone 8 last time, and he come in at 18 stone 2. The punch resistance was gone. He looked more fatigued than he normally does. He looked slower than he normally does. Everything about it was not right. He got the weight totally wrong, so he thinks, right, this time, I think he recognised that, this time I'm going to get it right. I'm going to come in heavier. I thought he was going to come in around 19.1, 19.2, where his optimum weight is, where he's at his best. 20 stone, 1 pound. That is huge. Zhang coming at 20 stone 5 pounds as well. Like he was another, what was that, nearly a stone heavier as well. Yeah, nearly a stone heavier as well.
10 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but, yeah, that is huge. 20 stone.
Well, we're going to say, what's your initial thought?
Well, Joyce we knew would come in heavier this time.
Yeah.
I don't think they've worried at all about his weight. He looks really good. Spencer spotted rightly, had a little bit of a pot belly on him there at the weigh-in, but he's going to be the heavyweights anyway. We know he's got a great engine. It's all about, for me, this fight, the first 6 or 7 rounds. Zhang's coming in for a quick stoppage. Again, he's going to find those angles and let that detonate that left hand bang, Zhang, bomb. And that's what he's looking at. And just a sec. And just a sec, make it brief. But Joyce will start faster this time. He may struggle with that weight down the stretch if this is a war. But I'd still think Joyce has got it in him to stop Zhang late in this fight. Well, because Zhang will wear out, in my view.
Well, we know that Zhang will struggle down the stretch because we've seen that in the past against Filip Hrgovic. I think the slang.
Will we get there, though?
Yeah, but will we get there? That's the million-dollar question. Now, listen, when you talk about the last fight and the way that fight went, Joyce, although he come in light, he still sat in the pocket and he tried to push forward and he tried to have a fight and tried to out-muscle Zhang, who was the much bigger guy. Now, and you go, right, so going into the immediate rematch, you go, right, now, so Joyce needs to adapt. He's the one that needs to change things. He's the one that needs that adaptability. Well, guess what? He can't, because Joyce does what his name says. He's a juggernaut. He steamrolls forward. So the best thing that he could do was put on that weight to give himself half a chance. Gareth's right in what he says. I think that, the first 6 rounds are going to tell you exactly the way this fight is going to go. Because for me, Joyce, if he's in the fight still after 6 rounds, he's got a great chance of pushing on and winning because he's got a sensational engine. Yeah. That is a fact. Forget the fact that he's, 20 stone 1 pound. The guy has got a sensational engine. Zhang is quick, very quick with his hands, but slow with his feet. Joyce needs to stay half a step back. When Zhang goes, he needs to draw the lead, and then he needs to come back with quick shots of his own. Well, I say quick, but he's not particularly quick anyway, is he? But what I'm saying is he needs to get the timing perfectly right. He was too close last time. He was in the pocket.
He had no timing.
No, but every time Zhang threw a shot out that southpaw stance, he was leading off with left hands, cracking him with left hooks, but he was getting away with the shots because Joyce was standing in range. He was in the firing line. He needs to be just half a step out.
You always say it, footwork.
Absolutely.
And Joyce might not have a lot of head movement, but if he's worked on his footwork with Ismail Salas this time, he can avoid those left hands.
Yeah, he does have to move his head though, doesn't he? Because let's be straight, boys.
But if he moves his feet, he can get out of
range. I'm going to be honest, lads. He ain't going to move his head. That is a fact. He doesn't do that. Joyce does not do that. And that is a huge.
But he can change the angle by moving his feet. You always educate me on this.
Absolutely.
You've shown it to me late at night sometimes when we've been out for a few sherbets. No, but it's key. Poland. It's so key. And the key is, can Joyce take this fight late? Do you know what also, Ed, I think, in this fight, it may well be very close after 6 or 7 rounds. And down the stretch, it's going to be who wants it the most. And there is so much on the line. 38 Joyce and nearly 40 Zhang. Slippery slope for the loser.
Well, last time he was well beaten. Yes, there was a stoppage with the eye. But he lost all the rounds. He lost everything.
He lost everything.
And he never made a dint. Obviously, the extra weight is hopefully going to give him a little bit of extra pop to be able to make a dint in Zhang.
Yeah.
You've just been speaking about the tactics, but talk about the ramifications. You kind of just alluded to it there. It feels like it's a must-win for both men, because if you don't win this fight, your chances of becoming a world champion are absolutely gone.
They're probably 2 years away and you're in your 40s. That's the problem. So there's so much jeopardy here. There's so much on the line for both men. And it's the WBO interim title. You're in line to fight face Alexander.
Yeah,
number one. Interim title. You'll be mandatory to face Alexander Usyk. There's so much. There's all these fights happening in Saudi. There's talk of Fury and Usyk in Saudi. Joe Joyce has spoken to me this week. He'd love to fight in Saudi. Zhang's mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
There's so many big fights out there. And the winner, if you think they beat, based on this performance, if you think they beat Joshua, they probably belong at number 4 or 5 in the world.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Listen, I think that where they're at here, the winner, he puts himself right back in the mix, all because of the WBO interim title fight, and that puts him in the mix with all the other, the top 4 fighters. The heavyweight landscape at the moment is very tied up at that top, so for the loser, there is nowhere to go at this age. I'm going to say that, I know a lot of people do go on about, well, you can't say one loss and their career's over. Guess what? It is at this level. And so if they're not willing to operate at a lower level, which I'm sure they're not at the stage of the careers they're in, then it is pretty much all over.
Based on what they're earning as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, of course,
It's a must-win fight for both guys.
Yeah. Has the weight that you've just seen, has it changed your opinion on how you think this is going to play out tomorrow?
I think that I'm glad that Joe Joyce come in heavier. I'd like to have seen him come in around 19.4 to 19.5 stone. 20 stone, 1 pound, still a little bit too heavy for me. But then Zhang come in heavier as well. So it sort of balances it out. Do you know what it is with Joe Joyce, right? Because Joe Joyce is one of the loveliest fellas you'll ever meet, right? And he's so pure and so innocent. So, do you know what I mean? A lot of the time when we speak about Joe Joyce and we go, how this fight's going to go, we speak with our hearts and not our heads, right? So our hearts are going, yeah, I think Joe can do this. The reality is, if you wasn't emotionally attached to Joe Joyce the way that you are, you'd look at it and go, I think he's got a hard night there. Yeah. It's going to be a very difficult night. For him to win that fight, it's going to be very, very difficult. My heart's with him all the way, and I want him to do it. Can he do it? I think it's a tough night.
I think that he does get it done, and I think Zhang coming in heavier may play into Joe Joyce's hands in the late rounds.
Yes.
And I think Joe Joyce will tire him out down the stretch. He's got to get through those first 5 or 6. If he doesn't, if Zhang has his number and that timing's not there and he's popping him again, it's the same old result. If he can get late down the stretch, the weight on Zhang will tell in this fight. Joe Joyce, 10th round stoppage.
Oh, he's gone for it.
He's gone for the round.
Wow. Absolutely.